Let's go. Streaming data free on the MTN network in South Africa.
This is Omnisport.
T's and C's apply.
The global football calendar has once again come into question. The number of games, according to some, is crazy. According to some, the players earn generational wealth weekly and must shut up and play. It's a tricky one, but it is what it is. The players are now pushing back, though. Liverpool's goalkeeper Allison thinks that better quality games is good for the fans and it's good for the players as well, because that's what they want.
I think for the supporters, it's amazing. More games. More bigger games, big teams playing against each other. For us players as well, is a good thing that you are going to play against the best in Europe.
Yeah, I think it's fair what he's saying is, I mean, the players largely love their performers, they're entertainers, right? They want to be playing in the biggest moments, high leverage moments as often as possible.
Yeah, but they also want to be able to play those. And they can't play those if they're exhausted, if they're not at their best. So if they're not at their best, they're not providing us with a quality product and the entertainment that we demand from them.
Great point, because Allison spoke about the calendar and how he feels a better balance can be achieved for all involved. He also spoke about how close he feels a reasonable solution is between all parties.
It's always a good idea to add some games to the calendar that is not busy. I'm being ironic a little bit. But again, we are here to do our job. Sometimes nobody asks the players what they think about adding more games. So maybe our opinion doesn't matter. But everybody knows what we think about that, having more games. But it's a matter to sit down all together and listen all the parts. Because we understand that we have the side of the media from TVs, we have the side from the UEFA, from the FIFA, from Premier League, from the domestic competitions. We are not stupid. We understand that, and we understand that people want games. People want more games. What we want is giving our best for the football. If you are tired, you cannot compete in a high level. What I want is giving my best in all the games that I play. But we need a solution for that, and doesn't look like we are close to a good solution for the football's sake and for the players' sake.
I mean, what do you do? These guys are earning £400,000 a week, £500,000 a week. What do you do? Do you play less games? Because the other part is, fine, let's play less games. Will the players take less money? No, we need to have that conversation. We can play less games, because I know this is what the billionaires are thinking. We can play less, but will you take less money? And then what do you do?
Yeah, so there's a difference between less and fewer. Obviously, lesser games will be rubbish quality. Fewer games is what they're talking about. I'd rather have fewer and more quality. I don't want to be bombarded by watching. It becomes a spectacle when you wait 7 days. It's like Netflix and binge watching. Are we going to binge watch 15 games in one day? No, we're not. So we're binge watching 3 games in 1 week for Liverpool. It is a little bit too much, because it's for the players. You know, it's great for me. So I've got something to do on a Saturday apart from work, although that is work. But it's that. So it's the build up to the spectacle. It's the build up to the next. I like that. Let's just say Game of Thrones only would release an episode every week, and you have to wait. And that anticipation is also what is great about South Africa, and so not South Africa, but international sport.
Couldn't agree with you more. Manager Arne spoke about the only positive for the fans with regards to the expanded Champions League format, to Kevin's point.
The only thing I like about it, just as someone who loves to see football every night on television, is that on every night there's a nice fixture. Where in the former format, sometimes there were evenings you're like, okay, tomorrow is a nicer game than today. But now, for example, with our game tomorrow, I think everybody who loves football is looking forward to that game. So that is the positive thing for the person that sits at home in front of his television. Is it going to be for the players with 2 extra games? How is it going to be exciting in the end of the group stage as well? That's something that we have to find out, and I don't think anyone has the answer to that at the moment.
Well, again, you know, as you say, they can play fewer games, but I know footballers is the billionaires are going to say you can play fewer games, but then will you take less money? And then we're going to have a problem. So is there a balance where players need to themselves say, okay, we're happy with £50,000 a week less, but give us 10 games less a season?
Yeah, but there comes a time when less is more and more is less. And I think they need to look at the end product. So the end product would be for, let's say, the likes of Crystal Palace, who held on to their best player, to qualify for the top 4 or for Europe. Then they'll earn another 10, 20 million pounds, and that'll help negate salaries. And that's what they want. If Liverpool, let's say, for example, if they play fewer games and then still get into the semi-finals of the European Champions League, if they do well in the Carabao Cup, then they'll still earn more money. They're earning. That's why they've got a big squad. You got to protect your players.
0788 777716. Are players playing too much? Is this why people are getting injured? Brad Phillips joined us, exercise physiologist, earlier to say players are being overexposed and training poorly. What do you think? They would love to hear your voice notes and WhatsApps there on this matter. Leading up to their game against Inter Milan, Man City legend Rodri was asked if players would consider going on strike if the fixture list isn't revised.
Do you think it will get to a point where, after playing so many games or being asked to play so many games, that the players will say, I don't want to be part of this, and they'll actually end up like going on strike or not refusing to play in such a big kind of calendar?
Yeah, I think we're close to that. I mean, because it's easy to understand. I mean, if we're asking something, and I think it's something general, I think you ask any player, he will say the same. It's not like the opinion of Rodri or whatever. No, I think it's a general opinion of the players. And if it keeps this way, it will be a moment that we have no other option. I really think. But let's see. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But it's something that worries us because we are the guys that suffer. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. You know, the players are saying we've had enough, and Rodri saying that he almost feels like this is the last option you're giving us to now. In the NFL a couple of years ago, and they've had it a couple of times, they have something called the lockout, where the players was just simply not happy, number one, with the money and the revenue share, and then we just don't pitch up. Sorry.
Yeah, that happens quite often, and it hasn't really happened in basketball as much. I know hockey, it happens quite a bit. But so FIFPro, the Global Players Union, has recommended the ultimate, the baseline, or the top line rather, is 55 games per player for a year. But with the new competitions and all the competitions, it's possible that Manchester City players and Rodri could be playing up to 75 games a year.
Well, Rodri was asked about that, and he gave his opinion what he thought an optimal number was.
Honestly, I don't know the exact number. I think from my experience, I can tell you that 60, 70, no. Obviously, I think between 40 and 50 is the amount of games in which a player can perform in the highest level. After that, everything you drop because it's impossible to sustain the physical level. And I think this years we're gonna go until 70, maybe 80. I don't know. Depends on how far you go into competitions. In my humble opinion, I think it's too much. I think we have to take care of ourselves. Someone has to take care of ourselves because we are the main characters of this, let's say, sport or business, whatever you want to call it. I think not everything is money or marketing. It's also the quality of the show. In my opinion, when I'm when I'm not tired, I perform better. And if the people want to see a better football, we need to rest. Just something to put in there, but that's what I think.
Yeah, that's Rodri saying exactly what you're saying. He's saying less is more in this case.
Yeah, I think you also throw into the mix the fact that there are end-of-season tours and there's pre-season tours. And if fans go to those games in the likes of Australia or China or Taiwan or wherever they go and play, they want to see the top players. And when Messi didn't travel with into Miami, there was a big sulk being thrown. Why are you not bringing a big player? He's the reason we're coming to want money. And he's resting. There is really official action by the PFA in England and the French Players Association. They've actually taken UEFA to a class action suit in terms of, they said the World Cup is too much. The European Champions League is almost too much. You're just growing bigger for the sake of growing bigger.
And the World Club Cup, by the way, that's a full thing.
Yeah.
And the World Cup, by the way, the next World Cup is 48 teams. So that's expanding as well. That's 2 years away. Nobody's really thinking about that. And here's the thing. I know billionaires. They are not thinking about the players. No person in the history of mankind has ever said, I will voluntarily give away these two things, power or money. Billionaires don't think, oh, I've got 3 billion. I should stop. They're thinking, how do I get 10 billion? Because Warren Buffett still goes to work. Like Bill Gates still has an office around the world. He's building more Microsoft offices. He's not cutting back. He's building more. Apple release a new phone every year. The Cook and these guys are opening new places every year. The billionaires will never stop. And as football fans, I guess this is where we have the philosophical thing of, is this our sport or theirs? And you are kind of seeing football fans going, it's too much in some places. You know, there is a revolt. Like in Germany, they just won't have it. They will not allow their 50+1 rule. Like that's why Red Bull Leipzig is on the outside of the football circle there, where they don't allow the fans to own the football club. In Germany, the fans are actually revolting against it. And in Germany, they refuse the fans. It's coming from the fans. The prices will not go above a certain number. We will not have it, right? And Bayern Munich going with Qatar in the end was a big problem. It's a big part of why Oliver Kahn and the guys had to go, because the Bavarians have said, no, we are not the Premier League. We will not become sort of that candy floss of football. It's an interesting one, and Rodri and the guys seem to not be having it at all. I don't know, Kev, if football every day, it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. It's an intersection of when the business of sport becomes sport as a business, and sport as a business is a very different beast to normal business, to being a CEO, to selling an Apple iPhone. You're selling a product that has got no predictability, just about. You can't predict. You couldn't predict Liverpool would lose to Forest. You couldn't predict they'd come back for 1 goal to beat AC Milan 3-1. We'll get into that later. But so you can't predict it, and that's the great thing about it. You're actually trying to take reality television and turn it into a business, and you need to, and with that comes the highs and lows.
I'm on your side. Scarcity is king in football. It's why the NFL in lockdown can sign a $200 billion, a $20 billion deal in lockdown.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we have 17 games a year. Shut the hell up. That's what we're doing. And then it's special. It's only, as you said, every 6 months. Inter Milan will play Man City tonight. What a game that's going to be. Can't wait to watch all of that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, our question of the day is, with 365 goals, I actually didn't believe this when I read it, with 365 goals, who holds the record for the top Bundesliga goal scorer of all time? We'll answer that at the end of the show. Is football just going too much? Has it gone nuts? 07 88 7716. Kevin says less is more. Be like Game of Thrones. Great show, by the way. Didn't need the last 2 seasons, to be honest with you. It was all about money. Absolutely shocking. Just get the White Walkers killed in the season 6. Season 6, it's enough. I don't know what they were doing. Then they add more characters. There was no need. Game of Thrones is football becoming a Game of Thrones at the end. All about the money, as they say. All right. On the other side, we'll carry on talking more Champions League and Carabao Cup, as we call it in South Africa.
Let's go. Streaming data free on the MTM network in South Africa.
This is Omnisport.
T's and C's apply.